Hey y'all, welcome to Pleiadian Point of View. I'm Peyton with Peyton Energetics, and I'm a Pleiadian channel. So in today's Point of View, the Pleiadians wanted to talk to us about timelines. And this is something that we talk about all the time in the spiritual community. But most of us are a little fuzzy about what timelines actually are. So today the Pleiadians wanted to help us sort out some of this confusion. Now, first things first, in order to understand what the Pleiadians are going to be talking about today, it is really helpful to go back and listen to last week's Point of View, where they talked about time, and in particular, about how our understanding of time is very different from our 3D perspective and from the fifth dimensional perspective. So go back and check that out if you missed it, because it will help you understand what they are talking about in today's video. Now, when we talk about timelines, what are we talking about? Basically, what a timeline is a sequence of events experienced by a consciousness. So you can think of this as you go through a sequence of events every day, just as you go about your daily life. You have your breakfast, you do your workout, you go to work, and this sequence of events creates the timeline of your day. So that's a really simple way to think about timelines. It's just a sequence of events that a point of consciousness, like yourself, experiences. So where you place your attention as you go about your daily life creates your timeline. And there's an interesting thing about timelines, because as humans, our human mind is tempted to think that everyone on Earth is on the same bus, that we are all experiencing the same things together. But what the Pleiadians like to point out when they talk about timelines is that there are infinite timelines. So we are not all on the same boat, having the same experience. Each of us are in our own reality. And if you want to get super technical about it, according to the guides, there are billions of timelines that we pass through every second. Another way to think of this is there are billions of parallel realities that we pass through every single second. So just take a second and wrap your mind around that. That is billions with an S. So each of these alternate realities that we are constantly shifting through is a different timeline. And timelines are only separated by frequency. So what creates your timeline, or what puts you on a particular timeline? According to the Pleiadians, the answer is your frequency, because the answer is always frequency, your frequency and your focus. So what are you putting your attention on? So when you are making your breakfast in the morning, that's a different frequency than when you are exercising, when you are out for a run. You are focused on different tasks, and everything you are focusing on has its own frequency. So in the spiritual community, one of the things that we love to talk about is shifting timelines, or moving to our highest possible timeline. And what we're generally referring to when we talk about this is moving to our best life, to moving to a reality where things are as we want them to be. So how do we do that? How do we navigate ourselves or move ourselves to better and better timelines? The answer to that is always our frequency. So one of the ways that we talk about being able to make major jumps in your timeline, getting onto better timelines, is by releasing resistance. So every time you do that inner work, that shadow work, to release limiting beliefs, you shift your timeline because you raise your frequency. So one of the best ways to shift onto more favorable timelines, which are timelines where the things that you want to have in your life are in your life. The way you do that is by raising your frequency and by being very careful with what you focus on. so that you are focusing on what you want to create, because that will draw that timeline to you. And each time you let go of a limiting belief, you actually shift to a new reality, to a parallel reality where that limitation of whatever that belief was doesn't exist. So this is what we talk about when we talk about moving or jumping timelines. And that is, we move to more and more favorable timelines by raising our frequency, by releasing our limiting beliefs. And the cool thing about this is you can move as quickly or as slowly as you choose. So most of us move pretty slowly. Each second is pretty similar to the last second. But the cool thing is the guides say we can actually make radical changes very quickly. Because again, every second you have billions of possible realities that you're passing through. And the one that you settle on as your next moment is the one that matches your frequency. And so most of us change our frequency pretty slowly. But as we start to really do our inner work and release our limiting beliefs, we can actually make pretty massive jumps in our timeline, which means pretty massive changes in our life experience. So if everything comes down to our frequency, and our frequency is what determines our timeline, how do we change our frequency? Well, our frequency is generally composed of a couple things. First off is our focus. What are you giving your attention to? Because we tend to vibrate at the same level of what we are paying attention to. The second thing that controls our frequency is, as we talk about all the time, our beliefs. The more limiting beliefs we are holding onto, the lower our frequency. So beliefs are super important. They are probably the key when we talk about how to raise our frequency. We always come back to release your limiting beliefs. But then other things that are also contributors to your frequency are, of course, your emotions, your feeling state. What is the mood you are in as you go about your day? Because the way you feel is also a reflection of your frequency. So as we always know, if you are feeling good, good things tend to happen to you that day. And when you wake up and you are in a stinky mood, things tend to go downhill. So again, this is a reflection of frequency, because as we know, our manifested reality is just a reflection of our frequency. It is the feedback we get to tell us where our frequency is. So an easy way to tell your frequency is just look at your life. It will reflect to you exactly where your frequency is, moment by moment. So when we talk about shifting timelines and moving to our highest ascension timeline, what we're generally referring to is raising our vibration as high as possible, as often as possible, and staying focused, as the Pleiadians say all the time, on what you want to create. That is how you move through timelines in the direction of what you want to create. So that is what the Pleiadians wanted to share with us in this week's POV. Just a little primer on what timelines are and how to navigate them. I hope this helped you. I'll see you soon. Bye.